this is Sabine at Cross Keys Crafts with a slightly mental card today. This is called a napkin fold. I've got the idea from a YouTube channel called Contenta Crafts, and the lovely Lynn, she made this card, but she made a bigger version, and I have scaled it down a little bit, but I've also made some changes because she creates it this way, and I thought I'm going to turn it onto the corner and make it a diamond shape, and I actually put it on a 10-fold card. I have made it ahead just to see if it actually works the way I wanted it to work. There are a few things I would like to point out when I'm making the second one version now, but I'll show you what it is. You've got a belly band, and you open up the belly band, and then the whole card flips open, and you've got the inside exposed. Lynn, she put a white panel in on the inside. Obviously she had it that way for the greeting, but I thought I will just put the picture inside, because on the card behind it, so you can all fold it up again as well, it's not too difficult, because on the card behind it I've got two magnets here, I'll hopefully stay in place. I've got plenty of space then to write a greeting, and hopefully that will also help me to stand this up. Yeah, that's working okay. So yeah, I wasn't quite sure about these magnets, whether they will stay closed. They sort of catch, but then they don't, because you've got quite a bit of bulk to this. I might have to manipulate these score lines a little bit more, but yeah, let me show you how I made this. The pattern papers I'm using today, and the toppers as well, they are from Simply Cards and Papercraft magazine, issue 270. I have used this before in at least one video. They've got these lovely Alice in Wonderland papers and toppers. So for the first card I chose the more like teal and blue ones, and for the second card I will actually go with some pink. I have here a piece of paper that is 8 by 8 inches, and I need to score this on either side. Now, with my first trial piece, I wasn't very lucky when I scored this at 2 and at 6 inches. With my second piece, I actually just scored it at 2 inches and then went all the way around. So 2 inches, turned it round, 2, 2 and 2. I've mentioned this before. I don't know whether that is a scoreboard issue, but if I look now here, my 2-inch line, that is 2 inches from this side, doesn't even match the 6 inches here. So I found I got a better result here, just in case you're wondering why yours doesn't work properly. I forgot to mention, you need a lightweight cardstock, almost like just a thick paper, because we do a lot of folding, and you've got quite a few layers, so if it's too heavy it won't fold into place. So we're doing some matting and layering that will give it, just layering, that will give it stability. But really, I don't even know what this is. This is a cheap cardstock from the works, not nice to work with otherwise, but here I think it will be ideal. So we've got this square now here in the middle, and I now need to find the middle of this, and I'm just using my ruler and I'm connecting this corner here and this corner here, and I'm just marking the middle, and I'm doing the same from the other two, between the other two corners. So, and that gives me the middle here of my square. Can you see? I now will fold all 4 corners onto this middle point, and this is where I said it's best to have cardstock. See, mine creases quite a bit there, so I'm burnishing it and hopefully get away with that. I'm just checking it. Can you see? It's also very shiny, so it does crease quite a bit. I tell you what, I think this tears too much. I think this is too cheap. I will quickly have a look. I might have some white thin cardstock. My white cardstock is definitely better, so I've got not that heavy creases and it folded really nicely, but this is really just a little bit heavier than copy paper. So I don't really need to remove this if I put pattern cardstock on this. So I'm now going to fold these score lines and I'm burnishing them in both directions. I found that gives me the best sort of flexibility when I'm going to need to manipulate them. So I'm going to do this with these here, and I'm also doing it with these score lines as well. Now we can start with the folding. I'm lifting these two flaps up towards the middle here, and then you can see this one already folds into place. So I'm pressing this square down, and then I'm going to burnish this. I'm doing it with the next one as well. So press this one down. As you can see, that folds flat there. And I'm doing this all the way around. I'm leaving that in real time so you can see how quickly that happens. And if you scored properly, and I do apologize for that noise. I've got my tablet here, which I shouldn't have. And so if you have scored it properly and measured properly, these should fold really nicely without overlapping. I've always seemed to have one wonky one. Don't worry about that, it doesn't really matter. So what we need to do now is we fold the corners that are in the middle here. Now we fold these back onto the outer corners to basically create a triangular shape. With my first one, I tried to measure that beforehand, but I think it's best to do that last. I'm sure Lynn did that as well, because even though, let me just show you this doesn't line up here properly, at least the corner does. So I will do this off camera quickly, and then I'll show you how we cut the papers. So for the layers, you need one piece that is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. That's the one that goes in the middle of the card. I have just chosen this picture here of Alice. I'll show you the original pattern paper because then I can explain how I've cut it. So this is the piece here. And then you need 2 squares that are 2.5 by 2.5. I have chosen this swirly pattern, so I've got one here from the bottom and one here from the top. They're almost the same pattern, very close anyway. So I made sure I had that. Ideally you have a non-directional pattern. Mine isn't because I've got the stripes here, but for this slightly matte card I think it doesn't really matter. But if you have a non-directional paper, you don't have to think as much as you do with this one here. So, and then you need, well, I have decided to do these in different pattern papers. Theoretically, you need 8 squares that are 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, but I did 4 and 4. So I've cut 4 from the from the stripes, and this was a rest here of another project. This is this foiled card, and I've cut 4 of those. A little tip for something like this, because we're working on such a small scale, when I cut the first strip, I ended up with this, and it's only got a little bit of foiling, so I dismissed that. I wanted every square to have a little bit of foiling on it. So, and now the important things. Oh, one thing I forgot. For the card, for the 10-fold card for the corners, you need 2 squares that are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I haven't cut those yet. I'll do this off camera in a moment. So the important thing is for these squares here, the 2, the 8 and these 2, is that half of them you cut from the left top corner to the bottom right, and half of them you cut from the top right to the bottom left. It's the way especially if you've got directional paper, the way they're going to get glued on, it will look better. I didn't pay full attention to that on my first card, so I did it with these here. If I open that up, you can see I even matched these so that I've got one piece of that square here and one piece there, but this paper doesn't match, so this is going in that direction, this is going in that direction. For this paper here, which is slightly directional, I think it wasn't too bad. Also, this paper here I have cut obviously that way, although it's sitting sideways. Alice will sit sideways, but I think that's okay for a card like that. So I will quickly cut these off camera and then I'll show you how we glue these down. One thing I forgot is I will just do this in my guillotine. So I use my smaller one as well for that, because I've got a bit more control over that. So I will align one corner here, one corner there, just right next to the blade, and then it's easy to cut. Obviously you can use a craft knife, you can even use long bladed scissors if you're happy with that. We don't have to be 100% with this card. A little tip, if you've got cardstock like this and you don't want to chop it all the way through, I just really want the flowers on the corner. I've got myself a little template from this really, really bad cardstock, and I can just place this on here. This is slightly bigger than the 2 3/4 square I need. So I can basically put this on here, use my scissors to cut the pattern out, and then I'm not cutting, actually avoiding that piece there, and then I'm not cutting right the way through here, just in case I need this bigger corner for another project. So this one could be a bit more generous. Yeah, I probably will be losing that corner there, but yeah, and then I can cut it to the proper size in my guillotine. When I'm sticking the pattern paper down now, I will make sure that the pattern for the directional papers goes all in one direction, and this is why I've cut them at 2 different angles. So these are the 2 pieces that belong together, and I'm putting them on opposite sides, and the same with this. If I put this one here, can you see, then this pattern, these stripes would go that way and that go that way, and I think it's not such a pleasant sight to the eye, whereas if I put it here, all the stripes are going that way. With these here, the smaller stripes, again, I can check which way around I want to put them, but they are cut slightly different. Well, they sit at a different angle anyway, so I can either put them this way, and then I would make sure that this one goes on the, on the opposite here. Yeah, so that one there and the opposite there, and I'm doing that with the other triangles. And then these are the non-directional anyway, but I've grouped them again in the pairs. So these 2 that go together, I will put in the squares here on the corner and make sure they stick together like that. But these could theoretically be upside down as well. So, well, the queen here, actually I wouldn't choose to have upside down or sideways. But if you have, as I said, if you've got non-directional papers, and I know that some of these playing cards were upside down anyway, but I think the ones I have cut are all facing one way. So I will do this all off camera, and then I'll show you how we create the belly band. All my pieces are glued down now, so I've got the triangles on the main card here as a top folding card, and I've stuck all these down. So you can see when I fold them up, these are going sideways and these are going up, but when I open them up, they are all, these little triangles are all going in the same direction. These don't match up with these perfectly, but it doesn't matter. If you've got different cardstock anyway, or different pattern paper, this will be sort of more visible that these are actually 2 different papers. So it's really up to you now what you want to do. If you want to have this as a square, as not a diamond card, yeah, then it's really easy how you create the belly band. You basically attach the strips here on the side and then fold this round so that the card opens like this. But I wanted to have this, as I said, on the tip there here like this. For my first card, just show you this again. I created a little fold here to match this corner. I'll show you what I've done if you want to go for that, but I think for the second card I will actually do something different. What you need to do is you need to create a little sort of template on here. This is 1 1/4 in height. Sorry, is it? Let me just check that again. Or was it 1 1/2? Oh, it was 1 1/4. So half of this height here, you need to put a score line down here. So if this is 1 1/4, this is, I'm not very good at this. I think is it 5/8 or something like that. Yeah. And then you also mark 1 1/4 here on the top and 1 1/4 at the bottom. And then you need to put a score line across here and across here. And then you, as before, you fold these over. So don't put a score line here. I accidentally did that with this trial piece. And then you basically fold this in, and then you've got this sort of shape. And I tucked this underneath the corner of the card, yeah, like that. And I've also glued this triangle and this triangle onto the bottom card. I didn't do anything to the top card because I want to be able to open it. But first of all, this is not great cardstock. It actually, I noticed earlier, had come undone here because the paper comes apart in layers. But it is a nice look if you want to keep those corners. For this one here, I want to lose the corners. I make it a little bit easier. But I didn't think ahead. If I had thought ahead, I wouldn't have put these triangles onto the card already. I would have created another layer and then put the back of these tabs here. I would have put that behind the card. I could still do that. I could still cut this off, put these behind, and then put it on the cardstock, but I won't do this. What I will do instead is I've got some scrap paper here, and I will actually just cover the tab here with some pattern paper. This is really a scrap, so when it peeps out here, yeah, I've just got some pattern paper. It won't match this pattern paper, but it doesn't matter 100% completely. So I will do this. I have cut for this, I have cut 2 strips that are 4 inches. You can go a little bit longer and then cut them down when you're creating your closure. And I have scored at 1/2 inch. I had this 1/4 inch first, but that wasn't enough. And you need 2 of these because they will come together like this. Again, I think I've gone for 1 1/4, but you could choose a different width if you wanted to. And I have also cut some pattern paper, which I will use now to cover these. And I'm making sure that they are facing the right direction. So one will have the tab on this one side and one will have the tab on this side. I quickly do this off camera. Just wanted to show you this again. So the pattern paper on the strip goes on this side, and the pattern paper for the flap goes on here. I just wanted to show you what I've done. I've just stuck this onto the little flap. The glue has dried now, and then I can cut it down. This is as simple as I've done it. So to glue these down now, make sure you've got them the right way around. Oh, don't put the pattern paper too close to the score line, because otherwise it'll be a bit tricky to close it. So you need to make sure that your card base or that your outer card fits onto here and leaves a tiny little bit on either side for these flaps. You could, if you wanted to, stick them down on this card first, but the problem I think we might get is if we do that they're not quite straight, they sort of get wonky. So I actually want to glue them down here first, but I make sure that the score line is actually slightly further away from this edge, so not too close to the inside. And I'm making sure I can align this now on my grid and on here, that this is not too far out. So the actual flap will overhang a teeny bit, but I'd rather be safe than sorry and later find out I can't close them. So I'm doing this on either side. I have chosen just one of the toppers to go here on the middle, and then once this has dried, I show you how to glue down the magnets. What I will do though, once this has dried, I will then stick the card down. I will stick it down so Alice faces this way rather than looking down. I think this is a better look. So my belly band fits nicely here. Yeah, it might be a little bit off there, but it doesn't matter, that will be hidden by the topper. As I said, I've got plenty of space now here on either side, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So my magnets. These are some magnetic strips that I used quite a while ago to store some small dies, and I've already got some paper here on the back. If you haven't got anything like that, you can buy them really cheaply. This came on a roll, and I would advise to use some red tape. I think this had some double-sided adhesive tape on it, so but now that the paper is on here, these are actually easier to glue down, so I can use my normal glue here, paper glue. So all I did on the other card was I put glue on one of these, stuck it down here in the middle, give that a moment to grab, and then I put the other one on, and I found it sort of fell into place, because I think if you put it the wrong way around it sort of resists, but here it sort of falls into place, and it's not 100% on the other one. It doesn't matter. So I just put glue on here now, and then I can close the belly band and basically grab that magnet there. And then this can go on top, and all I did again here was to just put glue on the middle here and then place this down. I can be a bit more generous on the outside here. You could put some foam pads on there if you wanted to, but I'll just have this flat. I'm just making sure I align this in the middle. Actually, it's got stripes, so it needed a bit straighter there. Applying a bit more pressure, and I'm leaving this to dry. So once this is dried, I'm going to open it up for you and show you again how it works. But yeah, I think this is really nice, a great card, unusual card, and if you don't faff around with this funny belly band here, I think it's really easy to make. Here are my two cards again. Although I like the look with these corners, I just realized one of the downfalls of that is as well that these corners are tucked in. So when you open it up, you don't have these corners unfolding, and if you unfold them, it doesn't really close properly, but it's also a good look. So that can be put like that. And I think there's also a little bit more sort of pressure on the belly band that this pops open. This closes much better. So I think it's the way I've tucked that in. I think there's too much dimension here. So I might just have to work that out a little bit how I do that. So this is the second one, definitely the better belly band, and you can hardly see that this is not part of the pattern paper. I think that's really nicely disguised. So you can open it up here now, and then this unfolds like this. And as I said before, you can put a greeting on the inside here, but I will put mine in there, and the recipient can easily close this again just with a magnet. It actually pops shut. How cool is that? You could, if you wanted to, put some more pattern paper behind there, but I really like it like that. Yeah, so two cards, similar but not quite. As I said, I prefer this belly band here. This keeps on popping open. I'll have a look what I do. If I can, I might know, because I've glued this down. Otherwise I thought I could replace the belly band, but I can't really because I've already glued it on the flaps there. But never mind. I think it's also a nice card. Yeah, if you like this idea, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. and I'll see you soon with another video.